Hello, Helen here. Thanks for joining me today. Today's card I'm going to be making a single layered card. It's actually quite an easy one, so it's something that you can do with any of the stamps you might have. So let's get started. I'm starting off with a piece of Strathmore Bristol watercolour paper. It's a smooth one, and I've got a piece of card here that's 7 inches wide and it's 10 inches long, which will be folded into a 5x7 card, but I'm going to leave it flat to start with. Altenew stamp called Garden Treasures, and I'm just going to be using the daisies out of the set today, but you really could do the same technique with any flower stamp, so just look at what you've got in your own stashes. Now what I'm going to do is mask off a panel on towards the bottom of my card. It's going to be a landscape card with this painter's tape, so I'm using the grid on my mat to line up the painter's tape and get it straight. So I'll do a strip at the bottom and then decide how wide I want the panel and do the strip at the top, and then I'm just going to pop a couple of little bits of the painter's tape down the side just to protect it, and it's going to be just slightly in from the edge of the card. And once I've done that, I can start doing my stamping. I'm going to use my MISTI just because I'm not sure how it's going to stamp at the edge where the painter's tape is, but I'm sure you could still do the same thing with an acrylic block in your stamp, so you wouldn't necessarily have to use the MISTI. I just happen to have one. Now with this card I'm going for quite a sketchy look, so I don't want it to be perfect. I'm going to just do quite a random stamping first of the big flowers, and then I'm going to go back and fill in gaps with the 2 little flowers that are in the set. And once I've done the stamping with the VersaFine Onyx Black ink and clear embossing powder, I'll be able to take the painter's tape off and then start some colouring. When I get to do the heat embossing, the painter's tape gets quite buckled and starts lifting off, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to be taking it off anyway. So once that's heat embossed, I can take it all off and I'm ready to start colouring. I'm going to be using my zigs again today, and I'm just going to go for fairly simple colouring. A bit later on you'll see another colour variation that I had a go at, but this one I'm just going to use yellows and oranges. Just thought it would be nice and cheerful. The colouring is going to be very basic. I'm just going to use yellow for the outside part of the petals, an orange, and then there's a colour called Scarlet Red, but it's actually just a brighter orange that I'm going to do in the very centre. I spent quite a bit of time going around the little stamens that are in the centre of the flowers, but turned out I didn't really need to do that because I'll show you what I'm going to do with that a bit later on. So I'm just going to go around and colour all of the flowers, so I won't bore you with that. I'll just show you a little bit of it and then fast forward through that. When I get to the flower which is at the edge of the panel, I'm just sort of guesstimating where the flower finishes, and then I'm going to go back later and draw a line around it just to neaten it all up, so you don't have to be too exact with that, and you certainly don't have to be exact with the colouring either. Just have fun and enjoy it. Once I've finished all the flower colouring, I'm just going to go back with a brown pen and fill in the centres of the flowers. And then my final touch for the colouring will be using a gold Uniball pen. I'm just going to go and just put dots on each of the stamens with the gold pen. It's quite hard to see, but when you've got it in the right light, you can see the sparkle of it. Just, I think, looks quite nice. You don't have to do that. Now the last thing I'm going to do to finish off the actual panel is to go around with a black pen and draw an outline. Now I'm using this Artline 200 pen. It's a 0.4 tip, but you could use any graphite pen or any drawing pen that you might have, even a Copic multi-liner or something like that would work. And I'm just going to go around and draw quite rough lines around it. I'm doing a line and then leaving a gap, and a line and leaving a gap. It doesn't matter how long or short, I'm just alternating them and doing some long ones and some shorter ones until I get right around the panel, and then I'm going to draw another excuse me, another line just slightly out from that and do the same, but I'm kind of doing the gaps in different places, and the overall look just makes it look quite sketchy, so I quite like that look. And just the last thing to do on the card is to do a sentiment. So I'm going to use the Modern Peonies stamp set by W+9 that I used for my last card, and I'm just going to use the same sentiment again because it's just got quite a nice sketchy sort of font on it. So I'm just going to do birthday wishes just above the left hand top of the panel, and then that's the card finished. Once I've finished doing the sentiment, all I've got to do is fold the card in half, and that's the card finished there. I'll just show you the other variation that I did. The blue I ended up stamping with the other stamps, layered stamps in the stamp set, and then I ended up just doing some pen drawing on the top. So you could colour them any way you want really, and any stamps that you want. So have fun and have a go. I'll leave you looking at some photos of both cards, and also a couple of videos at the end that you might be interested in. If you'd like to subscribe, just click on the picture of me and then hit the bell if you'd like to get notifications. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.